the thing that really turned me, even before, like for example, when I did the clues, I didn't even talk about the curvature of the Earth. I didn't even know what the curvature of the Earth was when I did the clues. Everybody else came out with that on their own. It was the Antarctic Treaty. That was the part that really threw me, which was because I knew people. I knew governments, and I knew that the powers that be run on greed and money and power. And power. Excuse me. So, and these same groups said that even though the Antarctica was made out of resources, right? It was made, the mountain range made out of coal, and there's minerals and uranium and oil, that they sealed it off for all time. They locked it down. And it's like, wait a minute, what? You got to remember that, and it had I heard this 20 years ago, I probably wouldn't have made much sense to me. But you got to remember that in the United States, we're fracking in people's backyards right now.
Yeah.
We're buying up a lot of land, and we're just giving people briefcases full of money, and saying, "Hey, your neighbor's doing it," and basically just carving up the West. If it's soft ground, they're going in. And yet, these same companies aren't allowed to go to Antarctica. And not only are they not allowed to go to it, this is the part that really gets me. They're not allowed to talk about it. That's the part that's completely goes against everything we are in terms of capitalism. Which means if I'm the head of British Petroleum and I want to get that oil or gas or whatever it is, I'm going to run a full page ad in the London Times and the New York Times and everything against me. How great it would be for my British Petroleum company to go down there. You never see those ads. No one disputes it. It's the only unbroken treaty in the history of treaties, and no one even argues it. And it's unilateral. Forget about the United States and London. Russia, when they broke up with the Soviet Union, why didn't they go down there? China, they're always looking for resources. Everybody's looking for resources, and none of these countries go there. They all agree. It's like they all sign this document, and it's like, oh yeah, yeah, we don't talk about it. It's like, what? Why are you? Why would you not go down there? It doesn't make any damn sense. In fact, it's not even up for review until 2041. It's impossible. In statistically impossible from a treaty standpoint. Treaties are made to be broken. Ask the Americans. We break treaties all the time. That's what we do. In fact, the whole reason for a treaty, I think, is just temporary. It's there's no ironclad treaty, but that's it. So that was the big one that really that's the one that forced me into the clues.
Do you believe that Antarctica is off limits to the average person?
No, no, not at all. You can go. No, I talked about this in the clues. I said, look, if you want to go out there, you can book. If you're an American, I don't know
Yeah,
what
it's
the Korean
expensive.
dollars. It's like 10, 15 grand, and you can get you can go out to the peninsula and go on the
Mhm.
rafts and take pictures with penguins. Sure, you can go there, and they will take you to what they call the South Pole, no question. But
Now,
that's
do
as far
you believe that you could you explore Antarctica personally?
personally without permits. No, no, I absolutely know you can't. Well, I mean, look at what's his face, wait, Jarl Landahoy or whatever that guy's name was that tried to do it himself, and they like sued the hell out of him as soon as he got back because you're not supposed to do it without permits.
Yeah, and I understand that if you were under the mindset that this is a protected land and we want to keep it safe, there you're gonna have to have permits to go there, kind of thing.
But why
Um,
why is it protected? That's the bigger question. Who cares? I mean, again, remember when that treaty was put in place, environmentalism was not even a conscious thought in the world. I mean, we didn't care
True.
about anything. We burned it down. It's like bigger engines, bigger. So why would you seal it off? And again, why would? And I know you've got some answers on your side, but look, Greenpeace wasn't even founded until 72, and that was just a
Mhm.
couple guys in a raft, and they cared more about whales than anything else.
Yeah, I just
Uh,
know there's a lot of vocal flat Earth proponents on YouTube that are adamant that you cannot go to Antarctica. You just
oh,
can't do it. It's impossible. But none of them have ever actually tried. So that's
sure.
kind of what I was going for. Is like if you go under the mindset that yes, we're protecting this land, even if the protection is bogus,
Right.
you have to have permits to get there to protect it. Do you think that if you tried, maybe not you because you're big name and but average person, if average person wanted to go on their own across Antarctica, do you think they would be prevented by a government?
Eventually they would. I'm sorry, I was looking at a fly. The if Eventually they would. And I know there was the guy that supposedly hauled 300 and something pounds worth of sled across it recently, and his
Mhm.
route seemed awfully short, even on a globalist map. Um, but eventually, yes. I mean, you couldn't just choose any course you wanted. Let's put it that way. You would they it would be regulated the entire way. I mean, you would have to have your route absolutely approved from second one. And again, the secondary layers of the treaty, which cover the environmentalist side, make it even worse. Like you have to
Mhm.
take your waste with you and
Yeah, pack it
all
in,
that.
pack it out.
Yeah, which is again absolutely what exactly are you what exactly is it for? Again, no animal life, no plant life, no older civilizations, just miles and miles of horrible ice at 14,000 feet. Again, which is really weird for a continent. Most people don't even know that most of the continent sits twice the altitude of or twice the height of altitude sickness, which kicks in at about 7,000 feet. So anyway, go on.
Do you know anybody who's actually tried to do that?
On our side?
Yes, or
No.
anyone? Do you know anyone
No,
who has
well, no,
tried
I
to
mean,
explore
yeah, I
Antarctica
mean,
but turned down?
every year or so, there's somebody that claims that they've done something down in Antarctica, but you got to remember, we take that with a grain of salt because every week we hear new space stories as well. So they kind of go in hand, look, NASA keeps saying that they're going to the moon, and people say that Antarctica, some little side story in Antarctica, we don't give it much credence.
The only reason I ask is again because a lot of people will say you can't do it, and
Right.
it's hard to argue that point
Mhm.
until you can point to somebody who's actually tried and failed.
Oh, sure. Sure, I got you.
Okay.